You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 514 of Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the podcast that introduces you to a variety of characters who mostly have a passion for the outdoors in general and the Appalachian Trail in particular. I've been interviewing a few guests recently who have finished the trail this year, but today we're going to meet two women, Molli and Kayla, who I met in 2014 on my first thru-hike, along with Mike McCarthy, Molli's husband, who hopes to finish his own AT hike next year. We may even meet up out there. These three have a great intertwining story and we'll meet them all in a moment. Then, as I threatened I would, I'm going to be starting my own accountability section of the podcast, where I'll be holding myself accountable to you, the listeners, as I stare down my rapidly approaching third AT thru-hike. I've gotten the older talk and my subsequent road trip with Dana out of the way, and it's time to get down to business. Each week I'll be updating you on progress, mishaps and the inevitable failure from time to time, but I'm taking it seriously this time and hope to provide some of you, especially some of the hikers of more advanced years, a template to work with to prepare for a long distance hike. I mean, it's only day 3 of my plan, so who knows how well it will go, but I hope you all get a kick out of it, as well as some useful information you may use someday. That will be on after the McCarthys, and don't worry, it isn't a long piece, but I've tried to distill the useful stuff. Anyway, let's now meet the McCarthys, Mike, Molli and Kayla, or Blue Pére, Bad Camel and Popeye. We've got a family on the show today who hiked the AT together the year I first went in 2014. This is Mike, Molli and Kayla McCarthy, or Blue Pére, Bad Camel and Popeye. Hey guys, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey Steve.
Good to be here.
And for those of you who've listened to the many of our earlier episodes, you may recall that Kayla has already been on the show 7 years ago in June 2018 on episode number 90. But today we're hearing from all three of them. And I kind of want to start with why you all decided that an AT thru-hike was a good idea to do as a family. Who came up with the idea?
I think it was me. Initially, it was just supposed to be Mike and I, and Kayla had graduated from college, got a job in her field, and then she wasn't very happy in that job and was considering leaving and, thinking about doing something else. So I proposed to Mike, let's invite her on this trip. It's a, good time to figure things out. A lot of people are out there to do that. So we proposed it to her. And she didn't know anything about the AT really. And,
oh, wow.
So she's, a critical thinker. So she said, let me think about it. And she's, did some investigation and, well, go ahead, Kayla, you take it from there.
I spent a lot of time thinking about it because I didn't want to leave a bad situation with my job and just put myself in another situation that I didn't want to be in. So I wanted to make sure if I decided to go, this was something that I truly wanted to do. So I read a lot of books, watched some documentaries, and then I thought about, it was sounding appealing to me. And I thought, if I don't go and they're out there having the best time for 6 months and I'm at home watching, I'm going to wish I was there. So
that's going to piss you off. That's definitely going to piss you off if that happens, isn't it? So did you, we spoke 7 years ago. So were the outcomes from that hike now beneficial to you, Kayla? Do you think had you stayed at the job, you would have, your life would have taken a different turn?
I definitely wasn't going to stay in that job. I knew that wasn't the right path for me.
All right.
So it was just a matter of, do I want to go straight back to school or do I want to do something really cool and life-changing first? So
yeah. Were you already close as a family? Because it's not an easy thing to do to share a trail with somebody else for 5 or 6 months, is it? So was it something you were quite comfortable approaching, being 6 months with your folks as a new graduate? Because most people don't want to do that, by the way.
I knew there were going to be times when we were going to be frustrated with each other or annoyed, and there certainly were. But I think overall we get along well, and I felt like the good experiences were going to far outweigh any annoyances or.
And I'm sure they did. I've seen some of your pictures together. You always look happy out on trail. When I met you, you're happy on trail as well. And so, Mike, did you need convincing, or did Molly? Were you already hikers anyway?
No, we were not hikers. We did one quick trip to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, like a 3-day hike. We were going to go anyways without Kayla, but it was all new for all of us.
So it's all new. So when your wife suggested this to you, did you think it was a good idea, or was this is another of Molly's ideas and she may not want to do it eventually?
Yeah, I thought it was probably a good idea. I knew we would get along fine once if they could deal with my drill sergeant mentality. But I was more worried about Kayla taking a break when maybe she shouldn't be taking a break. But I was okay with leaving that decision up to her.
Cool. And this is not a cheap gig to kit out a family of 3. Did you all you suppose you all had to get brand new gear then, didn't you?
We did. And basically we decided to do the hike in 2009 when Mike retired, and it was just going to be the 2 of us. And then I went to Appalachian Trail University because we knew nothing. We knew nothing about equipment. We didn't know much about the trail except for like what I learned on Bill Bryson's book, reading Bill Bryson's book. Yeah. And so we went to REI, and the guy there advised us. We kind of just bought everything he suggested, and then we started testing things out and exchanging things. And
nice. And what about you, Kayla? Did you have to get your own gear, or did your dad cough up for that?
They helped. They outfitted me. I pretty much just got what they had, just in my size Perfect. And color. So it was pretty easy for me.
And before you headed out, did you have what I often refer to on the podcast as the question, the conversation? What happens if one of you doesn't like it out there or gets injured? Did you consider that before you set out?
I think not really. I mean, well, I should say we did, in our own heads, at least, I think. Like my thought was, I'm not going to stop unless I'm injured. But when it was just Mike and I did realize that if he left, I didn't know if I would be brave enough to go by myself. But
right.
I thought maybe I would meet people and be comfortable. We didn't know really, but
I was pretty sure I was going to make it, and I didn't think they would make it.
You thought you would? You thought you would make it, despite all the odds telling you.
90% sure I was going to make it.
Despite all the odds telling you that most people don't make it.
Yeah, but I was convinced I was going to make it, and I thought there was a good, solid 40% chance they would make it.
There's a certain amount of irony to that comment, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Now, I know that. As I say, I only met 2 of you in 2014, and we're going to mention that in a minute. But I want to start with, we all take to the trail differently. So how quickly were you able to get up to speed as a hiking family, especially as you've done nothing before? And Georgia is a real shock to the senses, isn't it? I found it to be anyway.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Well, I'll start with that. Mike had a very specific way he wanted us to do everything starting out, kind of like a drill sergeant, and very regimented. Like when we stopped for breaks, eat, poo, pee, do everything, all in one stop. So then we wouldn't stop again for a long time. He was very regimented in that. But even with that, I think we all liked it right away. But we were also really shell-shocked right away, too, because, that first day or first night, you're like, what in the world have we gotten ourselves into? And we have a picture of me the first time we stayed in a cabin at Blood Mountain Cabins. and I'm in my new sleeping bag, and I just look completely shell-shocked. And we really were.
Were you, Mike? Were you shell-shocked?
No, I was glad for the break at the blood cabins, but I was, I don't think I was shell-shocked. I was ready to go.
And you as the daughter, Kayla, were you thinking to yourself, I'm not sure about this, or were you quite into it straight away because your dad had already spent a lot of money on you? Your parents had already spent a lot of money on you.
I mean, it was hard right away, and we overdid it a little bit in the beginning.
Because of him.
Yeah. I did like it right away, though, but there was definitely a learning curve. Like, my mom and I didn't start out with warm enough sleeping bags, so the first 2 nights out there, we were like shivering all night. So there was definitely a learning curve getting started.
But, I think, as you know, I started in 2014 as well, within days of you, I suspect, as well. And I realized that you have to get used to this. It's not something you take to straight away, and you work out what works for you and you work out what doesn't work for you, don't you? And I frankly, I was a shock to my system. Everything experience was new, and I screwed up all the time. And yet you keep going, and you should get there, shouldn't you? And I mentioned that your trail name was Blue Pére, Mike, but that's a new trail name, isn't it? Tell us what you were on the AT, which is because it's one of the best names I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. I was wrong way jalapeno.
Yeah, you can't leave it like that. Why were you wrong way jalapeno?
Yeah, well, we did a practice hike or a class with Warren Doyle's group, and there was a guy there who kind of gave everybody a trail name. And on some of the practice hikes with this guy, we talked about food constantly, and jalapenos kept coming up. And also, I had a reputation for being able to get lost under virtually any situation. And so he put those two together and gave me my trail name, Wrong Way Jalapeno. And
did you have that for the whole time you were on the AT?
Yeah, for that hike, yes.
Right. And so why did you become Blue Pére then? You decide, for some reason, you decided you didn't want Wrong Way Jalapeno, I presume.
Yeah, it's kind of a long name. I like short, crisp names.
Right.
And I became Blue Pére. That's what my grandchildren call me.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
We were not in favor of him changing his name because it was just perfect for him, and everybody remembered it and loved it. But we couldn't convince him. He's stubborn, and he couldn't be convinced. So.
And so, as I say, I mentioned before, I met just 2 of you on the trail, and they were Molli and Kayla. So what happened to you then, Mike, the man who was 90% sure he's going to make it to the end?
Yeah, I got plantar fasciitis in both feet. And I think the pain was there for maybe, I can't remember exactly, 3 or 4 weeks. But then once we got to Shenandoah, when I was walking, my heel started feeling like a cross between cardboard and styrofoam. So like when I would step down, I could feel this weird sensation, and that was telling me to stop. And it's a good thing I did. It took me almost 1.5 years to recover from the plantar.
Good Lord, that's a long time. So you're walking on it for quite a long time, probably making it worse, I suspect. So when did it dawn upon you that you would have to get off trail? Was it a momentary thing, or were you talking about it continuously?
Well, I was fighting through the pain, but I was saying, if the pain just stays at this level, I'm going to be able to keep going. But it was that moment in Shenandoah when both heels felt a sensation that just was setting off alarm bells. Sure. It really felt very odd. And so with the pain and then with my both of my heels feeling like styrofoam, almost crunching, I decided I was just going to make it worse.
So you ladies must have known about obviously Mike's plantar fasciitis. What was that conversation like when he said to you he was going to have to leave trail? Kayla, what did he say? Or did he raise it with your mum first?
Did you two talk about it separately?
No, Mike didn't talk about leaving. He talked about his pain, but Kayla and I talked about him leaving because I think we knew before he did. And we were talking about would we go on? Could we go on? Do we want to go on? And long before he came to the final conclusion.
Right. So you had the conversation and you said you were going to go home. Did you think that was it for all of you, or did you want them to carry on, Mike?
I wanted them to go on, but I was honest with them that I thought they had a good shot at making it, but I thought, it was less than 50%. But I was okay, it was their decision, and I was okay with whatever they decided.
Well, I remember I had a conversation with somebody before. I can't remember where it was. Your odds when you start are about 20%. Then from mountain crossings are about 25%. By the time you get to Damascus, you're at least 50% chance of getting to the end, because you've got your legs. You know what you're doing. You screwed up enough times to get rid of some of those mistakes. So the chances were pretty good. So once Mike went home, did the two of you think of finishing by then, or had you decided once he raised the issue that you were going to carry on?
We weren't 100% sure. We were just a little nervous being two women by ourselves, but we were in Shenandoah and we went to the laundry there at the one of those big hotels, and two ladies, Freckles and Dragonfly, they were both older women. Dragonfly set some sort of an age record. And we talked to them about it, and they were just like, "Oh, you don't need a man," and they were so encouraging, and they were experienced, and they just gave us what we needed to make our decision. Kayla, would you agree?
Yeah, I think we both felt pretty strongly we were at least going to give it our best shot, and there was kind of an additional learning curve at that point, because there were certain things my dad had done. Like he always hung the bear bag at the end of the night. And so we had to learn how to do that. And, we had to kind of redistribute some things because, he was carrying like our stove and the water filter. And so we had to kind of figure out how to redistribute things between my mom and I.
So he went home. And how did the dynamic between you two women change after? Your husband and your father had gone home. And so things were different.
The drill sergeant.
Well, I didn't want to mention that, but as he's mentioned it himself, the drill sergeant got, so did you become somewhat more lax about things and needing to poop and eat exactly when at the same time?
Yeah. Kayla and I operate much more similarly than Mike and the two of us operate. So yes, things became much more relaxed. And Kayla would always say, "Mom, you can pee as many times as you want. You can eat as many Pop-Tarts as you want." It was much more relaxed. But that's not to say we didn't miss him. And the things that he taught us by being regimented, we did keep with a lot of that stuff because it kept things running smoothly and, kept us on a good track. But of course, things changed a little bit, and he kept coming back and slack packing us. And
nice.
So he was still part of the team, and he really got to know the people we were hiking around, which was comforting, I think, like to all of us. So,
but the routine is a very important thing to have as well. So I suspect that having that's why a lot of military people do this, and why a lot of military people are successful at it as well. I think because they have that routine, they know how to do things, and I think it's one of the skills I did not have when I first started. And I think I've got that skill far better than I used to have. I'm not sure when the three of us met, but I think we were all pretty much well into New England at the time. When did you start to think, we are going to do this? Well, we are going to finish this. Or did you, once you set off from Sendai, were you quite confident you were going to finish then, Kayla?
I felt pretty confident, even early on, that unless we got injured, like we liked it. We liked being out there. There was no part of me that wanted to go home. So I felt like as long as we didn't get injured, we were going to keep going.
And what if one of you had got injured? I had to leave the trail. Would the other one have carried on at that stage?
I think she might have, more likely than me. I don't know. I think I would be kind of wimpy. I know staying in your tent at night by yourself, I don't know. It's hard to say. I would have wanted to try, but I don't know if I would have, to be honest.
Well, my girlfriend and I just spent a weekend or so ago at the Woods Hole weekend, and she got bitten by a bloody great spider and got some bad poison in her as well. So yeah, I think she's one and done for a night in the tent.
You didn't mention that in the podcast. I don't think, but
well, we only found out what it was the other day. So yeah, I might mention it this week actually. Yeah, okay. And I'm sure. So Mike, you said your injuries lasted for about a year and a half. Did you summit with Molli and Kayla or not?
I did. I came out maybe 3 times to do slack packing for them. The last time was Katahdin, and I did summit Katahdin. I didn't allow them to take my picture up there, but yes,
what do you mean you didn't? Well, you say you have not got a picture of you on the sign.
Yeah,
it turned out to be a mistake. If I could go back in time.
Mistake. Yeah, big mistake.
We tried to tell him.
I'm sure your summit must have been a mixture of mainly joy, obviously, but joy and sadness that Mike couldn't finish with you, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
What were you thinking, the two of you, as you approached the sign?
I was glad it was over, and
I was glad it was over. I wasn't ready to be done.
Oh, you weren't glad it was over, Kayla?
Mm-mm. No, I wanted to keep going.
Oh, really? How about that?
Yes, as we went through Maine, I think Mighty Blue, we met you in Maine for sure. And it might have been just sometime before Shaw's, but the younger people getting into Maine, I feel like they were getting stronger. Kayla was definitely getting stronger and loving it more and more. And I was just like, I felt like I was falling apart by the time I got to Maine. I had lost a lot of weight. And so we did start slack packing as much as possible because, I don't know if I would have made it without that. But I was definitely ready for it to be over.
I got to tell you, Molli, I'm doing, as you know, I'm doing it next year. I'm going to slack pack. In fact, you actually mentioned once, I wrote in my book, I embrace slack packing with the enthusiasm of a junkie in a club in Ibiza. And I intend to do exactly the same thing next year, I tell you. You've got to do it, haven't you? And did it seem like unfinished business for you, Mike, that you hadn't done it? Was the desire to go back quite strong at that time?
Yeah, I had plans to finish it, and I'm still working on those plans.
I know. We're going to talk about those plans in a minute. And Kayla, you weren't actually done with long distance hiking, and you went to the PCT. Was that a year later or 2 years later?
It was in 2015, so yeah, 1 year later.
Oh, right. But that was also curtailed by injury, wasn't it? What happened?
I injured my ankle maybe 300 to 350 miles into the trail. And I kept walking on my injured ankle for another 350 miles. And it was pretty painful. In the morning, I couldn't really put weight on it and it would kind of loosen up a little bit, but I was, limping down the trail for 350 miles. And so when I got to Kennedy Meadows, which is where the Sierra Nevada starts, it gets a lot more difficult and remote. And it didn't feel safe to keep going at that point. I didn't want to be the person that needed a helicopter rescue or something. So I decided I needed to stop hiking at that point.
Yeah, quite apart from the embarrassment of being taken out by helicopter, there's the bloody cost, which is even worse, isn't it? So has your ambition gone now? Because you're now in your late 20s, I guess? Late 20s?
I just turned 34.
Wow, you're 34 now then. So this is a time in your life when you've got a career going. Do you still hike? Have you got any ambition for long distance hiking?
I still like to hike, just day hikes. I haven't backpacked at all since 2016. I still love it, but it's harder at this point in life. I have 2 dogs. I own my home. I'm in the midst of my career, so it's harder to get away. And I haven't really made that a priority. But I still love it, and I wouldn't rule out doing some long distance.
Would you hike with your parents again?
Maybe.
Not to put you on the spot.
Maybe.
Okay, we'll leave it at maybe. So back to you then, Molli and Mike. Then, what was your plan to get the AT finished, Mike? Were you going to do it in one big section to finish? I mean, what actually did you do? In fact, when did you go back?
Yeah, the plan was to finish in one big, the remaining 1,300 miles in one go.
Sure.
It didn't work out that way. I went out maybe 3 years ago and did 500 miles. And 2 years ago, I did 400. And this year, Molly and I went out and we finished the whites, and then there was drought conditions, and we skipped ahead to the 100-mile wilderness, and we knocked that out 3 weeks ago. And now I'm going to go, maybe I'll see you out there next year. I have to go from Mount Success to Katahdin, and I'll be done, like 175 miles.
No, not to Katahdin. You already did the 100-mile wilderness.
Well, to the base of Katahdin. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. To the 100-mile wilderness.
You'll get lost.
So you went out with the intentions to do it in one finish then. Why did you stop those other 2 times then, Mike?
Yeah, I guess I got homesick.
Is the plantar fasciitis healed, by the way?
Yeah, right. Legs are good. I haven't had any injury problems. I was very healthy during the 400 miles and the 500 miles. I just mainly got homesick.
Oh, wow.
The wife, the dog, the grandkids, the children. And I was happy with, I went out, I did 500 miles.
The correct order, by the way. But Kayla, you're right at the end of that list. You notice that?
Yeah.
The grandkids, the dog, the wife was already there, but yeah, okay. Impressive. But did you enjoy it again, though? Was this something, are you doing this now because you just want to get this bloody thing out of your head, or is this something that is giving you satisfaction to do it?
Both. I enjoy it. I found, no disrespect to Molly, I like to go out and be by myself, actually. I enjoy that 4 or 5 weeks by myself, alone time, and then I get really, really homesick and head back home.
Yeah, you know what? One of the things I'm doing this year at Older is speaking to somebody who is a section hiker, because I think the section hikers have it toughest of all. Because once we got going on the AT, we were fine, weren't we? You can keep going and you can get it done. You don't have to get your legs again. The thought of getting my legs next year is the thing that frightens me more than anything at all. It took me 200 odd miles last year, so I know those 200 miles are going to be a nightmare for me. And as it was 200 miles last time, it would probably be nearer 300 miles this time. But these section hikers and you, Mike, you had to go out and start all over again. Did any of that put you off, or did you feel physically up to it straight away?
2 years ago and 3 years ago, I was fine. I started in spots where I could do a couple 100 miles and not be difficult, right. But we did make a mistake in the most recent hike. Day one was Mount Moriah in the White Mountains. And we took a beating those first 3 days.
I saw Molly's post on Facebook. Yeah, I don't think she enjoyed that first day at all.
I did enjoy it, but it was hard. Yeah. I kept wondering how in the world Kayla and I had done it. I mean, it was crazy, but I had worked out, like you said, you have a trainer. That's a great idea. I had done squats with heavy weights, like massively, and my legs were really good. They never were shaky on all that hard stuff we did. I was so happy I had prepared so well. My feet, though, were more of the problem. So
Yeah, I think that's going to be my problem as well. I'm starting with my trainer 1st of November because I've got this road trip this month, and then after that I've got 4 months to get ready, and I think hopefully that'll be enough for me to be ready to go.
Yeah.
So, but this year you've had quite a busy walking year. Not only did you do the AT part of the AT, you also went on the Camino. You were a couple of weeks before. When did you actually start? Because I went in, I think it was early April. When did you go?
We went, we started hiking on February 1st and finished mid-March. So,
did you enjoy that?
Oh, we loved it. Yeah. And we had like unusually good weather. Like we only hiked in rain after we had already been to, the main finish point. And then we hiked on to the ocean. We had rain in that section, but we had fantastic weather. I mean, I was in shorts a lot of the time. It was crazy, unusual.
Yeah, nice. I loved that hike. Would you recommend that time of year to go, or is that because that is an unusual amount of good weather in February? Isn't
it depends on if you like to be alone or you want to be with other hikers. I mean, we saw very few other pilgrims, and a lot of things were closed. So the planning, I planned really carefully, And we like to be alone. We're sort of introverted, so we didn't mind. But I mean, we went through towns where we didn't see anyone, a single person, just a few cats. I mean, we felt like we were the only people on the planet. And that was fine with us. We liked it.
Well, there were plenty of people on trail when I went this year, but I went through towns where I saw 2 people or 1 person. It was quite surprising how small some of these places are, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you were the drill sergeant this time. You were organising the whole trip, and Mike let you get on with it.
I do all the pre-planning generally for our trips, and then once we're on trail, whatever trail, he has a lot more input and makes phone calls and pays for things and stuff like that. But I usually do all the pre-planning. I like all that. So, of course, the plans always change. But
so coming back to the AT this year, I love the Camino myself. It's a walk. I don't feel it's preparation for a hike like the AT. It just helps your heart keep going and so on. Did you feel it helped you with the physical side of the AT? Because where you started, as you say, was quite a tough thing.
I don't think it helped. The Camino is so much easier than the AT. It's kind of the difference between a 5-mile walk and running a marathon. There's really no comparison between the two. And I don't think the Camino really prepped us in any way.
So you're going to finish it, I presume, next year. What is the plan? You say you might see me out on a trail. It'd be great. I'd love to walk up there with you. So what is the plan so far for next year? Which miles have you got to fill in? Is it the 175 odd miles plus minus the 100 mile wilderness, or what?
No, it is 175 miles from Mount Success to basically Shaw's Hostel. So I'll be starting sometime in maybe late August.
Right. Okay.
Day 2 will be Mahoosuc. So
nice.
That'll be fun.
You'll enjoy that. Yeah, you'll enjoy that. So are you still going to then get your summit picture? You're going to go ahead to Abel and go into Baxter rather, and go up the Hunt Trail?
That's a good question. I don't know at this point. I've already done Katahdin for my thru-hike.
No, you haven't got a picture there. You cannot.
That's true.
Listen, I'm listening to you saying this. I'm getting a cold sweat thinking about it.
Yeah,
the thought of completing.
I agree.
Completing a thru-hike without your picture at Katahdin is just makes no sense at all, Mike. You need to think about that. So, and Kayla will probably come and summit with you, I suspect. With
yeah, that would actually make it less complicated for him, because one of the reasons we didn't go up there this year was just the complication of being there with no car, and we couldn't get a reservation for a campsite. And it was just complicated, was going to cost a lot of money. And so, but if we go to pick him up and go summit with him, I think it would be so fun for all 3 of us to get up there together again, and he would be done. So yeah, we'll work on that.
Mike, you cannot possibly not have a picture. I think you could do with AI these days. You can do a picture of yourself celebrating with your poles in the air, and somebody can put you on the Katahdin side. But you know what? Yeah. You'll know it ain't true.
We have thought of that already.
Right. Oh, right. So you're gonna get it done, and that will be next year. So you're now in your late 50s, Mike, 60, something like that.
I am 64.
Okay. Right. So are you planning on carrying on hiking, or is there another long hike in the 2 of you? Well, the 3 of you, in fact.
We're going to hike 400 miles in Italy this winter, and then the following winter, another 400 in Italy.
Wow.
We've got a whole bunch of hikes planned, but they're not as hard as the AT. I think for me, at least, carrying that really heavy backpack on that kind of terrain, possibly I might be done with that because I just don't want to get my plantar fasciitis to come back, because I had it for 6 years, not after the AT. It happened later after that. But I like being in bed every night too. It's just at this age, it's just so nice.
No, don't worry about all that. I've got to get into my scummy old tent again. I crawled inside it not too long ago. Oh my God, it bloody stinks inside there. It's awful. And of course you realise you're the reason it stinks.
Yeah, which is you even get worse, used to it though.
Yeah, exactly. You get used to it, and everybody else smells and you don't.
Yeah.
So look, I wish you well in finishing your trip. Mike, please send me a proper picture of you on Katahdin next year, because that will be the worst ending to a hike. Just stop at Shores is not going to work, I tell you. I know you want to do it when you get there.
Yeah.
I'll do my best. Maybe I'll summit with you.
That's right. I'd love to. I'll take your picture. All right, and then that'll be on my show. Well, look, guys, thanks for getting up early to chat. Lovely to talk to you. Shame we couldn't do it in order this year, but it'd be nice to meet up. And I'd love to. And if you guys are going to be out with Mike finishing next year, we'll see all three of you, which would be really nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be so fun.
That'd be great.
Well, take it easy, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
All right, take care.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good people. And it made me laugh how the girls got a little bit more lax once Mike had gone home. But they also clearly appreciated his discipline. And to be fair, having some discipline along the way is pretty important, though I'm not entirely sure I could schedule a poop break at will. Now that is discipline. When I met the two women, I was struck by how self-assured and self-contained they were, yet very friendly. It often happens when a family is hiking together that they're a unit that is kind of hard to join, yet I hiked around and with Molli and Kayla a few times. They always had a smile and a welcome at the ready. It was great to be able to interview them all together and learn how much Mike remained an important part of the team for the rest of their hike. Hopefully, he and I will meet up again next year, somewhere in Maine. Thanks this week to our monthly recurring donors, Ann Dobson, Mike DiCello, Alan Troy, Lisa Rana, Brian Helton Jr. and Woody Bass stuck with us again, as well as Bruce Matson through Venmo with another terrific donation. Also, our membership in Buy Me a Coffee grew again with Emma T joining us. We've got our second Zoom call this week, so I look forward to seeing some of you again this weekend. If you'd like to get early access to the podcasts, or if you'd like to join our Zoom calls, check out buymeacoffee.com/mightyblue and see what's on offer for a pretty small donation to our shows. Now, and I'm a little nervous about introducing this, my accountability blog. It's the first one, and I've just started my prep for next year. I don't even mention it in this week's entry, but I've also largely given up booze. I'll give myself the odd day off, but otherwise I've taken the proverbial pledge. Here it is. So here's the thing. Much as I love the idea of trusting myself not to go from couch to Katahdin next year, I'm afraid that is an ill-founded trust, so I thought I'd start this accountability blog, or report, in order to keep myself accountable to you, my listeners, so that I can give next year's AT thru-hike my very best shot. Those of you who know me, either personally or through this podcast, will know that I've always been terribly lax about getting my arse in gear when it comes to preparation for my hikes. I'm not really sure what it is. I intend to start doing stuff early, but I just don't seem to be able to fully engage until I have about 2 or 3 days to go. I start to rush around like a demented chicken. And at 73, that is no strategy at all. So, this year, I've given myself just over 4 months to get ready. My current planned start date, in fact my registered date with ATC Camp, is March the 10th. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, it's a Tuesday, I believe, so there's no particular logic to it. I simply wanted to go between the two previous dates that I chose. First time it was March the 22nd, and the second time it was February the 26th. And once again, no special logic to it, but I ruled out another February start because of the horrendous cold last time, and I thought that late March could be a little too late for me this year, so the 10th it's going to be. Having registered, the next thing to do is to think about my gear, and most importantly, and certainly most urgently, my physical condition. As to gear, I'll be letting you know what I buy new and what I take from my existing hodgepodge of gear I've collected over the years. That isn't the subject of this week's report because I want to tell you what I'm doing to get this fat old body into shape. I always said that I'd get my road trip out of the way before I hit the gym, and to be honest, that road trip added, 5 or 6 pounds to my already somewhat substantial physique, so the need was real. I went down to my local Crunch Fitness gym, a place I've been a non-training member of for nearly a year, and I told one of the senior trainers there what I was looking for, and that was somebody who could work with me towards getting me in shape by early March for the trail. This bloke claimed to have trained somebody before for the trail, and he allocated me a young guy named Luis to work with me. This was late last week, by the way, for a start just a couple of days ago on Monday. Louis put together a plan, and I thought I'd share the basics with you. He's called it Steve's 4-month Appalachian Trail Training Plan. A pretty good name. And it is a 16-week plan with week 1 happening right now. He wanted to know how much time I could commit to doing some training each week. somewhat brazenly I think now. I said I wanted to do something each day. I also mentioned that Wednesday is the day I put my podcast together, so perhaps go easy on me on that day. Anyway, overnight, Louise came up with the following structure. He's broken it up into 4-week sections. Weeks 1 to 4 are the foundations, focusing on mobility, balance and joint endurance. Then weeks 5 to 8 will be strength building, which he refers to in somewhat scary language as progressive overload with compound lifts to increase strength. That does worry me a bit. Weeks 9 to 12 are for power and endurance, where he will introduce power movements and trail endurance intervals, whatever they are. The last 4 weeks, weeks 13 to 16, are designed to make me trail ready, simulating trail conditions, which might be quite tricky here in Florida, but including weighted pack carries and emphasising recovery. And then, once he'd let me know about all of that, he designed specific exercises to meet those goals each week, starting with phase 1, the foundational stuff. Monday will be the day I work with him, working on full body strength and mobility, and we did that this past Monday. When I tell you that after a few leg exercises, I started to stagger a bit between machines, you know I found it tough. Still, I did it, and I was glad that we were underway. I'm recording this on Wednesday, so yesterday the exercises he gave me were all about lower body strength. I did okay. Obviously, I'm aching pretty mightily right now, but I kept at it and completed those exercises, finishing off with a half-hour treadmill of cardio. Then today, Wednesday, I was down the gym again quite early for the cardio and endurance, which involved the treadmill again, though more severe and a bit faster. It felt like a good workout at the end. I started out at a somewhat embarrassing 262 pounds, and I'll give you an update on that next week. For the rest of this week, and each of the first 4 weeks of course, Thursday will be upper body strength, and Friday will be core, mobility and cardio. For the weekends, I've decided to just go for a 4 or 5 mile walk each day to get some miles on my legs, though that will feel more like rest as I don't intend to knock myself out at all. Luis also wants me to stretch every day. As to food, he's told me to record everything I eat this week so we can work out an appropriate diet once he's seen what I do eat. I need a massive increase in protein, plenty more water and electrolytes. So I'm just 3 days in. I can't really tell you what is happening to me internally right now, though my muscles are definitely feeling the ache. Next week I'll be able to share more, and I hope you appreciate these updates because I want to do this next year, and this seemed a logical way to go about it. Watch this space, as they say. So there we are. I'm up and running, or to be more accurate, walking and straining to lift weights. I'd be interested in any of your comments, and we'll read some of them out on the show if they can help others. You know the email address, steve@hikingradionetwork.com, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say. So that's a wrap again. Hope you enjoyed the show and that I'll see plenty of you back here again. I'll see you next week.